There.
Distinguished teachers, facilitators of learning, custodians of our next generation of innovative thinkers, problem solvers, and creative thinkers. You're welcome to this session of the Space Science in Education Summit. I have here with me Alvaro. Alvaro, I am super excited to have you join us on this training. Can you introduce yourself briefly to my teachers?
Thank you. No, first of all, hi, good morning or afternoon. I'm not sure exactly what time you guys are having this lecture over there with you, but nice to meet you. My name is teacher Alvaro Mayoral Corpus. I'm a Mexican teacher from Mexicali, Baja California. I'm located below California, and I'm an English, science, history, geography, literature teacher, a multitask teacher. And I had the great privilege to be part of this amazing group of teachers, and I was able to meet Olawanke during our Houston trip. And I'm really excited to be part of this workshop, and I hope my story or my lessons or things that I've been working throughout this years can help you guys to within your classrooms, and I'm super excited to be here.
Thank you. All right, so what do you have for us this day?
Okay, really quick, it's just how I started or how everything started when I decided to go a bit more focused on STEM and science. So my lecture or my talk goes, so it's titled From Mexicali, which is where I'm from, to NASA, a Mexican teacher's journey into space. So in this particular case, I'm reintroducing myself. I am Alvaro Meral Corpus. I'm an educational ambassador for NASA. I got that title in 2021. And second generation or cohort two in 2024. And I've been working with all these wonderful organizations such as Space Foundation, now with Limitless Space Institute, NASA, the International Space Station, and the logo that it's located on the far right is that is a STEM channel that different teachers from my state, from Baja, we work with different topics and we create digital content for teachers and students regarding science, technology, and everything in between. And regarding my professional development, I've been certified by Oxford, by Cambridge, by the University of California, the Berkeley chapter. I'm a space station ambassador, educator. I've been working with the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs, and I've been a finalist with the Falling Walls event. In my country, it's provided or funded by the German embassy, and I'm a proud space camp teacher. I was part of the last generation of teachers in 2018, and that's the one that I got my start from regarding this wonderful world of STEM and science, and that's how it all started. In my case, as a teacher, this will be my 22nd year as a teacher. I started a little bit young when I was 17. And this has been a wonderful experience because I've been working with um, fourth graders to sixth graders in elementary school. I've been working with middle school kids, high school kids, and also college and university. So I've had this experience of working with different students along the way. And also as a teacher, I had the chance to work on different environments or with different groups. I worked with science fairs. I worked with different class activities with adults that at some point, in my very personal opinion, those are the probably the ones that you kind of um, tap a bit the most because they already have all their conduct and their process. So it's a little bit different than dealing with kids, but it's very enriching as an experience because we're both able to learn from ourselves since we see each other as equal. And also, I had the chance to work on this particular mode was Zoom call when we had the COVID-19 situation. So I think that as a teacher, we have experienced different things or we have worked on different things in order to make the most out of our classes. But most importantly, I always try to connect with my students in order to make my classes a safe space or a space where they are able to feel themselves and work on the happiest mode that they can be in order for them to learn properly. But most importantly, to build that sense of community within my classes. And going back to our first point, I started my journey in 2017. A teacher from my middle school told me about the program, and I was quite uncertain at first because I was not sure if I was going to be able to make it due to the fact that my major is an English major or a language major. And she said, you know what? I haven't heard nothing about it. At least no one has gotten a no per se unless you don't make the cut once they select the teachers. So I sent my application. I did a couple of rounds through Zoom calls, and I did multiple interviews. And then at the end, I had the chance to become a space camp educator in 2018. We had different experiences over there, but I took like the three that I liked the most from that particular camp, which was the water landing practice. They took us on this little capsule that you see here, and we had different roles that we had to play. And they threw the capsule to a artificial lake, and you had to work with your team and check your card to see what role were you playing. And we would have to fulfill that role and save the crew. Then the moon landing practice, it was a simulator where you either did the moon landing or you were working with inside the space vehicle in order to guide your team members to go through the spacewalk. And then the last one was the Capcom practice. In this case, the Capcom practice was you get selected and you kind of go into a room and it's sealed for like 2 hours and you work with the crew that it's located in space and the crew that is located here on a space station, and you have to work and communicate with different teams. That's why there's a line of people where each and every one of us has a specific task to work on. And it was a really amazing experience because I never had an idea of how everything worked. So Space Camp in 2018 gave me like a very good perception of how, in general terms, astronauts were trained and also everything that happens like behind the scenes. Also, and during that time, I was able to meet other teachers from my country, from Mexico. That is the picture that is located on the left. We were just 10 teachers from my whole country that qualified for Space Camp in 2018. And then the picture that is located here on my right, it's just 4 teachers. But what was pretty awesome about that picture was the fact that we didn't know each other and we were all from the same city. I am from Mexicali, which is where I'm from, and we didn't know each other because when we got selected, they usually split you into 2 groups, Group A and Group B. I was in Group A and they were in Group B. That's why I had never had the chance to meet them or the rest of the teachers from Mexico because they were all in Group B. I was in Group A, so we met until day number 3 or 4 when we had to take the group pictures. So it was really cool to see other teachers that we shared that experience. And then it was really cool to have other 3 teachers from your city to be part of this experience as well. And once I started working with that, I remember that I asked one of the teachers from my group, he was from Germany. He said, I asked him like, well, now that I have done this, I would like to prep myself more or work more within the field of science. What can I do, or what would you recommend me to do? And he said, you know what, in order for you to either qualify or go to different contests or lectures or workshops, my humble opinion is just prep yourself up and go to different events in order for people to kind of track you down and see what you're doing, and you will not have a lot of restrictions whenever you apply to a program or to a scholarship. So once I finish that, next summer, I applied for the University of California on their science workshop with the Institute of the Americas. And it was a great experience with that one too. I was able to earn the scholarship and go to the University of California during the summer. It was like a 4 week program. It was really cool. They were mostly based on chemistry and marine biology, which it's probably the area that I will tend to lean the most regarding biology. But it was a great experience. That program is designed for teachers within California and Baja California, the Baja section states. So that was a really rich experience to have too, and work with American teachers and Mexican teachers as well. Then COVID happened, and you will ask yourselves, what does a sane and normal regular teacher would do when this happens? You sign up for a workshop. So even though we were not able to leave the house or to go to a certain place or places, one of my former team members or space camp team member told me, you know what? Or I have a workshop within my state, which is in Colorado, and we've been working on it. We're considered like the kind of a brother or sister to the event that you had the chance to experience in 2018. Would you like to apply to it? And but you will have to be dedicated to the program for a certain number of weeks, and you'll have to develop a project. And all we're asking is that you're willing and able to work and properly go through the stations or through the sets. And to it, got the scholarship. I worked with a teacher from Australia that life works in mysterious ways, and now we are uh, LSI cohorts. She's in cohort 1, and I'm in cohort 2. So it was a great experience to have. I mean, it was tough because there were a lot of weeks to work on the project, and we had a lot of information to kind of chime in and process. But eventually, what we decided to work on was in a habit structure that was going to orbit around Mars in order to collect data and information and keep track of the environment and check where, when, and where would be suitable to send a like an investigation vehicle or a resource vehicle to check the surface and check the environment within Mars. And that was the example of what we did as a final project. And we had a capital structure, and we had some sort of a brief and mission statements on how we're going to work on it. And that was our project for the 2020 event. And once I finished that, they told me that if I was interested in working or collaborating with another event, and it was an individual event, but it will require a project. So I said yes. I mean, I was already tired from the previous one, but I was already on a roll. So they told me about the this new activity, and I did all the paperwork. I did my interviews, and I displayed and presented my project through Zoom, through a Zoom call. And eventually, at the end, I was selected as Teacher Liaison Ambassador on 2021. I was the second Mexican teacher to get this distinction. And once I started working with them, it kind of opened a new perspective, but most importantly, it opened new doors for me to start working on. And it gave me a platform in which I was able to work with different teachers, work with different projects, not just in my community, but also from different countries or different states within my country. And I was able to experience this once I did the Space Exploration Educators Conference in Houston in 2022. I was able to work on a presentation regarding the activities that I was doing with my students. In this case, we decided to work with the Postcards to Space program on 2022, and I had the chance to show and display what we were doing and the process of how I introduced them to space education per se. And we decided to do different postcards and different posters that eventually at some point where we're gonna send them or they were gonna be delivered to the International Space Station. So that project had a really good reception from the other teachers and from the event itself. And at some point, I was really honored to be invited to my consulate offices of my country in Houston, and I had the chance to work with different teachers from the Houston area that they were either Mexican or Latin descent, and it was really enriching to have that experience of how they saw you as a motivation or inspiration to continue working or pursuing teaching as a major or as a career defining moment. So I was extremely happy and honored to be invited to my consulate offices and have that lecture and workshop with different Latin and Mexican teachers residing in Houston. And once that happened, I went next year and I worked with wonderful educators from across the US and many different countries. I worked with the projects that I was working within my community. And then in 2024, I had this amazing honor and I was really excited to get the news that I was part of the Limitless Space Institute cohort number 2. And this is the class of 2024. There's 6 teachers. Antonio, which you'll have during this event too. He's from Brazil. Hannah Cohen, Mark Westlake, Melissa Piao, Beth Brecken, and yours truly. And I was really excited and I cried and I was extremely happy about having this opportunity and the chance to work with each and every one of them. But most importantly, I was able to experience and get to know the other teachers as well because we had a group from Brazil and then the group from Nigeria, which I had the chance to meet you in Houston. And it was really enriching to have this experience of going through the different NASA facilities, having different astronauts and spokes members from different space agencies and paths within NASA or any other agency and embrace the STEM factor of how introducing different technology into our classrooms. And also, we were able to experience the Dusk Observatory mini workshop that we had during the Houston session, but also we were able to be granted this sort of code or permit to work with the telescope. Actually, Chaka was kind enough to guide us through our process. And that is also a very important element because this will allow our classrooms and will allow us as teachers to kind of close that breach or that distance between seeing something that might be a little bit hard to obtain. And if we make this information, all of this set of elements that we're working as a team together with our students, this will encourage them to pursue either a career in science or allowing them to dream big. And if they didn't have it in their radar, that they can now see it as an option, as something that they can obtain and work on. And also, it is a really because you get to know different teachers from different countries and different paths of life. So we had a group picture in one of the events where our Nigerian and Brazilian teachers presented their projects, and we were able to kind of mingle and get to know each other much better, and it's established ourselves as a big, huge family within Limitless Space Institute. And luckily, all of those elements or all of those activities and workshops had given me the opportunity to either show what, in my case, Mexican teachers are capable of, and shining a light on my country, on my community, and allowing my students to experience different things. Due to the fact that I've been working outside the box and trying to do as many things as possible in order for them to know that they, one, can do it, B, if they can dream it, they can be it, and three, probably they didn't have it on their radar or they didn't have it as an option, but they consider this as an option now. I also had the chance to go to different workshops and lectures outside my state. I was able to fulfill a long dream of mine of becoming a TEDx speaker. So having this path or choosing this path recently of working with different organizations has opened that perspective and those options for me. And I always come back to my classrooms and try to work and implement and create new things with my students. For example, these are a couple of samples that I took from my school here in Mexicali. I'm located outside the city, different communities located on my school. I teach English, as you can see in some of these pictures, but also I try to introduce STEM workshops within my school. We've been working with different things regarding materials or activities. For example, in this case, we decided to work on a space museum, but we had a twist of creating a sensory motivated or sensorial experience museum. We have people covering their eyes or covering their ears or adding gloves so they can experience different feelings and sensations. But our theme was Welcome to Our Galaxy. So each and every student, they worked in teams and they all displayed different stations or sections within the museum, but each and every one of them had a different feature that you had to interact or work with. And people were really fond of this activity and they really liked it. And that's why whenever I have the chance to do this type of meetings, I mentioned that that's my spark. Working with different students, working with different teachers, getting to know different countries and different ways of approaching something that we all do, which is something that I've gathered from all the different activities and all the different experiences have been that we all do care and we're all very committed to our students and also to give back to our community of all the things that they're able to experience. So all of this, it's for them. It's for them to understand that they have many options as possible for them to go and explore and also kind of reassess my position as an educator and the link or the connection that we share or that we have with our students, but also with every teacher and every student that we get to meet along the way. And this is the picture that started it all. This was my space camp class of 2018 picture. So for me, it was a really enriching experience, and that was the one that kind of gave me that spark or gave me that signal that what I was doing, that was the correct path, or that's the way to go, and I just should go and pursue and prepare myself in order to invite more teachers and invite more kids into STEM and science and allowing them to open their options and have probably something that they might consider impossible or not easy to reach, that they can be part of that world too. And that's been my mission ever since I decided to be a teacher in 2003 2004 when I started, and that has been my spark ever since. And this is a quote that one of our friends from Limitless Space Institute mentioned once, and it stuck with me, and it is so true. Students cannot be what they don't see. Sometimes it's not that they don't want to do it or they don't want uh to experience it. It's just that they haven't had the chance to address it or assess it. And once you're able to give them that possibility or that chance, their possibilities and their gems are limitless and they have endless options to work on. But in order for them to aspire to something, they must be able to see it in order to achieve it. So it was great having this space or this moment with you guys through this Zoom call. If you guys have any questions, I'm good to go. And you guys can contact me either through Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. And if there's anything else that I can help you with, or if you have any questions on different events or lessons that you would like to apply within your classroom or within your subject, I'm more than happy to help you guys out with that. And once again, thank you for this amazing space that you guys have given me and for the invitation itself. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Alvaro. I appreciate you. So, two quick questions.
Sure.
I want to know, for the English teacher listening to you right now, what would you advise that English teacher to be able to implement this pace science in their classrooms? What can they do? What are the practical steps they can take? Some of them don't even have any background in science. What would you advise such persons?
Well, as an English teacher, the advantage that you have is that once you have certain materials, or if you're able to have the information with you, you can implement it like however you want to do it, or you have the freedom to adapt it to either what you can check or see from your students. I think that the first thing that you should do is have an assessment of your students, as in check the level of the language that they are able to use. So once you get to know your students' level or their language skills per se, from there you can start building the activities. Usually, English as an English teacher, the way that I started introducing science or STEM activities within my class, I started with space history, and then I went a bit into certain space missions, and then I added a mix of art within my classes because I teach art history. So we started working on the space patches and most importantly how everything works. So I think that you can start adding certain things regarding space history, or you can start working on brief research cases, or you can introduce certain terms or vocabulary or activities with a certain level, so your students can feel comfortable, and also the teacher at some point can feel comfortable working with it. And once you start identifying how they react to each of the activities, you can start kind of upgrading each of the activities or amping up the level. But remember that the first thing that I personally think that you have to kind of understand is, first, where do your students and you as a teacher are set as in the skills regarding language skills or English skills per se. And once you identify that, you can start adding the activities within different practices. You can do writing exercises, you can do reading comprehension exercises, you can work on conversations, or you can play certain audios, and you guys can work together as a team and start introducing all those elements to the English skills that you guys have to teach. And once you start understanding how everything works, it's going to be way better, or it's going to be more accessible the way that you introduce either new techniques or new activities, so the students can feel comfortable, and also they can feel safe in the way that they start working those skills within their English classes. Because if you give them something really hard at the beginning, they're going to be kind of on the fence, or they're not going to like it as much, because it's not, you're throwing two things, space or science, that probably it's not everyone's stronger point or strength, and also you have the language barrier, so you have two things that they're going to go against. So first, assess your kids, as in identify or understand the level that they have, so you can search for activities or look for activities that it's based on what they know or what they can handle. And once you understand how their work process works or goes through, and how you can handle the feedback, because that's something that I always do with my kids. I always ask for feedback whenever we have a really big project or a quote unquote difficult project. I always have a feedback, and if necessary or if possible, leave a couple of classes within your work schedule to have it just as feedback workshop classes. Like, okay, guys, we've been working on this project. What do you have? What questions do you want me to help you with or answer? And what elements from the project you think you need to work on or reassess, so we can all help each other. But before you start doing that, you really have to understand what skill sets, or within what level your students can handle certain things, so you can start from there, and you can progress eventually as you keep working with different like space related things or STEM activities within your English classes.
Awesome. Awesome. So you want to suggest two beginner-friendly activities that an English teacher can implement in their classrooms?
Sure. For example, I did the one regarding space patches. Each kid or each student, they had to create their own mission patch or their own space patch, and they had to do a quick research, and we checked a documentary regarding space patches, what's the story behind them, and what does each element represents, and why they decided to do that particular patch, or why they decided to give them that particular design. I did that one recently with a couple of students. They did the research, they did their patches, and once we finished the activity, we placed them on a bulletin board outside our school, so everyone could see the patches that each of the students worked on. Some of them wanted to do it as a team patch or as a group patch, and that was one of the activities that tends to spark a lot of curiosity from them, because you have to design, you have to use different uh, elements, and you have to be able to understand or to explain why do you decided to work with those symbols or colors in particular. The other one that I started working with, and it was quite funny because there were cookies involved. I did the like the space exploration slash space investigation, where we use chocolate chip cookies, and we use Q-tips and toothpicks, and we simulated that we were a research team going to the moon and going to Mars, and we were taking samples from the planet itself. Those samples were the chocolate chips, and we had to do different samples, and we introduce new vocabulary, and we introduce a little bit of chemistry within that activity, as in what process do we have to follow in order to take samples, analyze them, and usually what was the proper setting to work with them in order to provide a result or a feedback. And you mix English, you mix a bit of chemistry, you can mix math within that activity, and also public speaking because and data analysis, because you have to take numbers, you have to take percentages, and once you have those numbers, you had to interpretate those numbers and explain how those numbers or that research works eventually either as a team or you're able to explain it to a group of people that they do not know what's behind them. So I started working on those different exercises, and also I'm working with the museum experience too. At the end of every school year, my ninth graders work on the museum because based on the previous activities that we did in seventh and eighth grade, that is like their final test. They have to create a station or a section of the museum where they implement different techniques where based on what they did in the previous 2 years, they would like to show or display for their final year.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alvaro, for your time, and my teachers listening to you, English teachers, and those who did history and all the subjects. If you could do this, I believe they can as well. So we appreciate you. Thanks for coming. If we have more questions, of course, I'm going to send them over to you. Right.
Thank you. No problem. And once again, thank you for allowing me to be part of this amazing event. And once again, thank you all you guys for your time and your feedback. Will be much appreciated. So thank you.
All right. Do have a great day.
You too. Have a great day and have an amazing event the rest of the week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.